This is King of the Night, Vincent on the Start coming back to a brand new video. And since Final Fantasy 15 is coming back because of episode Arden, it was peculiar when I saw the trailer for the second it was the second trailer, and still no confirmation of the Emperor Idolus Autocrat. We see young Regis, young Verstael, and obviously young Arden, but no young Idolus, which comes to think of it, there's good reasons. I think, in this theory, I think Idolus is not important at all. And Idolus is only a political figure, pretty much an actor. If you watched the Iron Man 3 movie, where you thought that one guy was the Mandarin who looked like the Mandarin, but it was actually one of Stark's kind of business partners type of dude, or whatever. It was somebody else. I think Idolus is only the leader to keep up appearances. That's why he's talking about the crystal and stuff like that, because they're keen on the crystal. As you remember, Idolus was disgusted about the demons that were being used in Insomnia. That's why Idolus asked Arden to get rid of them, since he knows Arden's powerful enough to get rid of them afterwards. But, I think what's really going on with the Niflehime Empire, I think the true leader is not even Arden either, because Arden was founded by this man, Prompto's dad, chief scientist of Niflheim, Chief Bethsitha, Verstael, is actually the true leader of Niflheim. No, what made me think about this is that there's no young Idolus to be found. And maybe he might be found in the game once the DLC drops. But it makes me think that Idolus is an actor. Idolus is pretty much the person that was actually an actor to show a front that he was the leader of Niflheim. And that's why, during the peace treaty, he was there to sign the peace treaty. Now, we don't see Idolus in the game after, until chapter 13, verse 2 comes out. We don't see very much of Idolus. But he has turned into a demon by the, we just don't know when. And we don't know if Verstael is actually responsible, because before chapter 13, at least a little bit before, at least probably like a couple hours before, Prompto actually met Verstael for the first time, and we already know what happened with that. But the point is, I think the true leader is actually Verstael. It could be, it's kind of like the same thing in Final Fantasy VII, where, President Shinra was the face of the Shinra Corporation. He was actually shown off as the leader, but the true person that manipulated all the events in Shinra was Professor Hojo. Well, I think in this case it's Verstael, except Verstael is actually the true leader of Niflheim. He's actually the true emperor. As you see him, he was the man who founded Arden, and pretty much made an unholy deal with Arden, because he knows that Arden came from a harsh time dealing with the Lucius Kylian and the bloodline and the crystal. So, and I think Arden wants to really destroy the crystal, but this is not an Arden video, this is a Verstael. But Verstael was the one who came up with the raid against the Citadel, using Idolus's fake peace treaty tactics to make a fake peace treaty so they could get behind the barriers and plant enemies all over the whole city, which caused the events in the Kingsglaive movie. Of course, Idolus is actually an actor. The true villain and the true corporate of Niflheim is actually the Chief Bethsitha. He was responsible in the raid on the Citadel, responsible for Diamond Weapon, responsible for fighting Arden, and, responsible for incorporating demons that Arden's found out into their military. He's also created all the soldiers of the Magitech factory. And he's also the one that gave Ravis that powerful arm he has. He's also responsible for General Glocka's armor. So the true leader of Niflehime is actually Verstael. There's a good reason why they kept him back. There's a good reason why they kept him back for DLC. They kept him back for DLC. They kept him back for DLC instead. Put him in the main game at least. I mean, you do see a scene where he's in the throne room questioning Ravis's motives, or being sarcastic as usual. But you never see him afterwards, and there's a good reason why they saved him for the DLC. Because it's to prove that Idolus was never really a threat at all, and he was never really truly in control. He just looked like he was in control because he's an actor. It's it's a weird plot twist, or if you could compare it to modern media, it's kind of like in Star Wars with Supreme Leader Snoke, where Supreme Leader Snoke is not really important. Idolus is not important. Idolus is an actor. He's staged like he's the main threat. He's the big bad. Now, in Versus 13, that is the case. But, people like Arden better as a villain. Plus, people like Verstael for the fact that before episode Prompto dropped, Verstael was mysterious and was never known to be found as a boss fight in the original game. So, and thanks to that, it gave Prompto kind of some character development. Not only that, but Prompto has defeated one of the big bad, the true big bad behind Niflehime. It was actually the chief scientist that controls Niflehime, which explains why you don't see Idolus anywhere in the episode Arden trailer at all. Like, period. Because they cut ties and references to Idolus for Verstael for good reasons, because Verstael is actually the person manipulating everything behind the scenes. I mean, Arden actually kind of helped with that too, but remember, Arden was founded by Verstael after Arden felt mistreatment from his clan and fell to the dark. But it's Verstael that pretty much helped Arden turn to the dark side, because Niflheime's enemies were always Insomnia. So there are obviously been a war between Insomnia and Niflheim for long periods of time, and they've been losing. So they needed to have Arden. Once they found out the secrets that Arden was kept in Angel Guard Island, they released Arden, and Arden joined up with Niflheim, created a new military using the Star Scourge disease. And that's why in episode Prompto you see Verstael with the little purplish face that Ravis had. It's because Verstael even injected the Scourge into himself to make himself stronger. Because Verstael's not very physically strong at all. Matter of fact, he's actually pretty weak in his human form, but it's not what his human form could do, because his superpower in the Niflheim Empire is actually he could transform himself into any Magitech armor or body he's created. So pretty much, technically, he could have created another Glocka armor and transfer his ghost into that armor and actually really wreck Noctis and if he really wanted to. As you can see in Immortalis fight and the Barbarous fight, he can actually put his ghost in any of his technology. So pretty much, even if he has a frail body, theoretically, he could even control Ravis's arm if he wanted to, or the demon part of Ravis, which was a hard boss fight. So it's not how strong Verstael is physically on physical feet. It's pretty much the capability, and not only the capability of Verstael's power, but it's also the fact he led the events that happened when he met Arden, because the unholy partnership of a demised Arden and him that created all the stuff that's happened in the game by far. All the events are actually both their faults. Now, Lunafrey was pretty much going to be got killed by Arden because he didn't want Lunafrey to get in the way, obviously, of trying to get Noctis to become king. Because I look at Arden as kind of an arbitrary type of hero where he's done everything wrong to save the world, but Verstael doesn't want to save the world. Verstael wants to be known through the world and the universe, and wants no one to challenge his power. Verstael wanted world domination. I mean, Idolus did too, but Idolus only went with this to save his people. Idolus was actually a good guy all this time because he wanted to save his own people. So, in order to save his own people, he went with Verstael's plans all along. But the true leader of Niflehime is actually Verstael Bethsitha, which makes a lot of sense because this game has so much things going on with relatives. As you see, Arden is the greatest grandpa that Noctis has, and Verstael is Prompto's father. It makes the Prompto and Noctis' story come together really well based off the fact that, it happens to be with the relatives. Of course, Prompto not being a legitimate birth, it was actually more of a clone, a younger version clone that he keeps making in that lab. Either way, that had like the normal, the normal growth. But nonetheless, the point is that it puts those two stories together. Those two stories actually come together now. Two characters that make sense, to each other because now Noctis and Prompto are best friends, and Prompto's not a royal guard. It makes sense because there's actually, there's always more to Prompto than you thought. More than you thought with the joking and stuff like that. There's more than you thought. So, that's why Verstael makes the perfect leader for Niflheim because it was a perfect plot point and plot twist that they put in the games, and you know what? I'm kind of glad they did. They went with the plot twist. So, what do you think about this theory? May the crystal be with you. We're also working on a Vincent Valentine web series, fan trailer at least. So please support JTS Productions if you want to see a Vincent Valentine, trailer. And then hopefully one day it becomes a web series. So there's that too.